It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It is Monday, March 21st, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and support us on Patreon. So what are we going to go over today? Lots of things to talk about. We have the coronavirus updates, current news from around the world, and the Sunday sermon, the message about the wisdom of discernment. All right, so how was your weekend, guys? I'm sure you guys had a lot of things going on, able to enjoy your weekend, rest, receive grace and fire from the Sunday message, a new direction. Monday has come again, and we're going to restart another amazing week of discernment. So let's do it together here on the Morning Star Drive. If you guys can, go ahead, like and comment below. We want to hear how you guys are doing. Make your requests, your questions, and what you guys think about the segments in the show. Really, really grateful and thankful that you guys are always supporting us over here. Yeah, there's a lot of different things happen on this weekend. It's the first week after the 316. Right? Can you believe it, guys? We're already going into the last week of March, which is pretty crazy. We're on the 21st, guys. That means we have like 10 days left before the next month comes in, which means like a week and a half. Man, this year is going by fast. And guys, we're starting a new 70-day prayer condition, and I hope that all of you guys, we're going to do this really together as one body of providence. On Friday, we had the new video on Espresso with Sky, and that one was about what are you trying to prove, right? A lot of times people are saying like, man, I want to do it by myself, and a lot of people won't get help from others because they're trying to prove that they can do it alone. Very good video on this, and really happy the channel is growing. We're right at the cusp of 1,400 subscribers, so super happy about that. Tomorrow too, I have another vlog on why I would move to Malaysia. And the reason I'm not going to come up with like why Malaysia is so great, but I had this crazy experience when my car broke down, and I met like all three people, like three different types of ethnicities in Malaysia, and it was like a Chinese person, a Malay police officer, and an Indian construction worker, and just an amazing experience. And I was like, wow, these people are so amazing. But yeah, I'm going to go through my experience in that too. So you guys can go ahead and check that out tomorrow night. On yesterday, did you guys check out the Sunday edition? Great Sunday edition with Eddie Kwan from San Francisco over there in America. Super thankful for him for all the effort he put in for the interview. Go ahead and check it out. He is a national SS male rep, so that's great. And he's second gen. A lot of good advice, not only for SS like second gen, but also for parents too. And of course, in the Sunday message, we got some great advice from Sunday too about the power of faith. Big shout outs also. We have Dabio and Brian from Hawaii, and then Etris from Malaysia, and a big happy birthday to Etris also. And we're just grateful for supporting us here on Patreon, for believing and supporting this channel. And, basically through your support, we're able to buy new equipment. We got the mics, got a new tablet, got new editing gear, everything else like that. And it supports how we pay for like the editors and everything else when it comes to the other channel too. So really, really thankful for you guys. And if you want to support us also, go ahead to Patreon, and you could check out there's a link in the description. You can just copy the link over there, or if you're on SoundCloud, click the blue button on the homepage and you'll go straight to Patreon. And Patreon is a crowdfunding site. You can support us. It could go as like $3 a month, and at the moment we have lecture training videos, we have Monday Bible studies, we have newcomer Bible studies, and just tons of stuff on there, so you can check it out. Or if you just want to support us, go ahead and do it. You don't have to check out anything at all. All right, so also tonight, Monday, open Bible studies lecture, another lecture tonight. It's going to be spiritual world, and that's the second lecture for spiritual world. So I hope you guys will really enjoy that too, and that will also be posted on Patreon tomorrow. All right, so let's move on to today's featured artist of the day on this Mega Monday. Yeah, let's go Mega Monday, right? Oh man, you guys remember that game Mega Man? That was way from a long time ago. Either way, so on this Mega Monday, right, we're going to start off with Bach from the Paper Music Associates in Korea, and we're going to hear a song called A Flower, which we haven't heard in a long time. This is featuring Hannah Kim over there in DC. Then we have The Sky from Japan, and this song is Too Much. And last but not least, we have Renee Lai from Taiwan, and this is A Million Dreams from the Greatest Showman soundtrack. So more than anything else, guys, like I always say every single week, make sure you support our member artists from around the world. And, whether it's listening or supporting them, buying their albums, whatever it is, but the most important thing is what? it is to pray for them. Keep them in your prayers, guys. All right? So let's listen to our member artists from around the world.
추운 날 비추인 햇살 하늘 아래 깨어난 한 송이 아득했던 밤 하늘 속 바라던 이 맘도 눈앞에 이뤄진 걸 작은 하나의 씨앗에서 자란다 바위와 흙 속에서 지냈던 시간 많은 시련과 아픈 기억들도 이젠 하나의 손으로 그려졌나
It's a beautiful day for it's a beautiful day it's a beautiful day I know what you feel inside oh flower I know you're the most beautiful flower in the world oh flower I know you're the most beautiful flower in the world
아름다운 시간 속에서 살아가는 꽃 한 송이 하늘 아래 깨어나 웃음 짓네 그 환한 웃음으로 늘 인사하네 어떤 바람에도 햇살과 함께하는 모습 한결같은 마음을 잊지 않는 모습 진심으로 모든 걸 대하는 하얀 송이의 꽃이네
It's a beautiful day flower it's a beautiful day it's a beautiful day I know what you feel inside oh flower I know you're the most beautiful flower in the world oh flower I know you're the most beautiful flower in the world
따스한 햇살 아래서 함께하는 행복한 순간에 맺혀있던 눈물을 잠시 내려놓고 이제
활짝 핀 꽃처럼 웃는다 활짝 핀 꽃처럼 웃는다
시간 속에서 살아가는 꽃 한 송이 がす日々街を照らしてるネオンに揺らいでばかりだいつもの場所にたどり着く君の足元を見つめる僕の行くべき道を全部委ねさせてよ僕が振っていられるのはね君だけさ青すぎるよ僕にはこの空も君がいなきゃ意味がないよなんでもいいよ僕には君がくれたからそれもいい新しいところへ
I close my eyes and I can see a world is waiting up for me that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in the world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. The special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to the world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. gonna make. However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. You may be right, you may be wrong, but say that you'll bring me along to the world you will see, to the world I close my eyes to see, I close my eyes to see. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head, a million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. For the world we're gonna make.
And that was Renee Lai from Taiwan, and that song is A Million Dreams from The Greatest Showman soundtrack. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. She got some great covers on the YouTube channel, and also she has a SoundCloud channel for the new songs. Before that was The Sky from Japan with Too Much, and of course Bach from the Paper Music Association in Korea, and that is A Flower. All right, so let's get into some news that we've missed across the weekend, right? So many things going on. To start off with some coronavirus updates. Yes, we've gone up to 123.1 million cases and 2.7 million deaths in the entire world, and that's at a 2.21% mortality rate, which is remaining steady. The US, 30.4 million cases, 554,000 deaths at 1.82%. Brazil, only country going up in the mortality rate, 11.8 million cases, 290,000 deaths at 2.45%. India, 11.5 million cases, 159,000 deaths at 1.38%. Italy, 3.3 million cases, 104,000 deaths at 3.12%. Turkey with 2.9 million cases, 29,000 deaths at 1%. And Poland with 2 million cases, 49,000 deaths at 2.41%. So now we have the top six all over 2 million cases. And Turkey is still remaining relatively low at only 29,000 deaths, which is a good news. Sweden, only country not to go into full lockdown, down to 1.78%, which is a big drop. And then Belgium down to 2.74%. Great news. Now let's go into the daily infection rates, which is very telling of seeing how well these vaccines are going. Brazil still remaining on top with 89,000 cases in a day, and then the US at 65,000, India with 40,000, Poland with 26, Italy with 25,000, and Turkey with 21,000 cases in a single day. Over here in Southeast Asia, Philippines goes back to the top with 7,000 cases in a day. Indonesia with 6,200, and then Malaysia with 1,500 cases in a single day. All right, so let's get into some big news going around the world, some stuff we've missed over the weekend. First one, great news, guys. Airline industry are getting ready to have a travel pass, right? This travel pass is being made ready. It's going to be ready within weeks, right? So the IATA, which is the International Air Transport Association, says it expects its digital COVID travel pass. It will be ready within weeks. Now, the pass is an app that verifies a passenger has had the coronavirus test or vaccine required to enter a country. It also verifies they were administered by an approved authority. The industry body sees the pass as an essential for reopening air travel, as many countries still have strict restrictions or quarantines in place. And the key issue is one of confidence. So passengers need to be confident that the testing they've taken is accurate and will allow them to enter the country. And this is the IATA's Regional Director of Airports and External Relations. And the governments need to have the confidence that the test that the passengers claim to have is one which is accurate and meets their own conditions. Now, the IATA said the travel pass is designed in a modular way so that it can work with other digital solutions that are being trialed around the world. So it will be available on an iOS and Android platform and is expected to be free to passengers. So Singapore Airlines was the first airline to start trials of the travel pass in December. Etihad, Emirates, Qatar, Air New Zealand are among the other airlines currently conducting trials. And IATA says it is discussing the pass with most airlines throughout the Asia Pacific region. Now, They say that they're currently working with a number of airlines worldwide and learning from the pilots, and the plan is to go live in March, which is right now, guys, which is great news. Hopefully, within weeks, it's like the end of this month, it's going to work. So they're expecting fully functional working system over the next few weeks. So they were thinking about paper versus app, right? The closest paper equivalent to the app is the yellow card, a WHO document which confirms passengers have been vaccinated. It is often used to prove that passengers have had yellow fever vaccinations required to enter some countries. And the IATA says the risk of fraud with paper documents is too great. So Europol recently revealed that a forgery ring in France has been selling negative test results to passengers at Charles de Gaulle Airport, and fraudsters had also been apprehended in the UK for selling forged results. Malaysian police also reportedly recently arrested 6 Pakistani men suspected of forging negative results, and this issue has come to the forefront because there is the risk of fraud with paper certificates. However, the insistence by some governments on paper documentation has proved an obstacle to the rollout of the IATA app. Right? So they do have a case in the Republic of Korea that does require paper certificate. So they're working with the government there to ensure they will allow digital certificates to be accepted. And, basically it's essential for quarantine-free travel. So the airline industry is pinning its hopes on quarantine-free travel reopening this year, but expects progress to be slow even with the app. So COVID has been disastrous for the airline industry. And according to the AITA's figures, demand plummeted 70% in 2020 compared to the year before, and the industry is hoping for a full recovery in 2021, but it's unlikely that the vaccine rollout will solve the problem immediately, which is part of the reason the IATA thinks the travel pass is needed. So they basically said it's going to take too long. Right? It's going to take like a year to 2 years in order for that to get all finished. So they're very dependent. It's basically dependent on the vaccine globally. So this is why this app is a very important thing. So they see the combination of testing and vaccinations being the long-term solution to reopen the borders, right? So that is some good news for those of you who want to start traveling. Hopefully this thing comes out, you get vaccinated or tested, and it'd be great news, right? Now, we're gonna go over to Australia. So evacuations are ordered in Sydney amid they call this a 1 in 100 year flood. So the Australian Sydney braces for its worst flooding in decades as record rainfall causes its largest dam to overflow. So people in parts of Sydney's northwest were ordered to flee their houses in the middle of the night on Sunday as heavy rains continued to batter Australia's east coast, triggering floods that caused widespread destruction throughout the region. So authorities issued flooding risk and evacuation warnings in about 12 areas in the state of New South Wales, of which Sydney is the capital, and warned of a potentially life-threatening situation in the region. So Dean Story, which is the Assistant Commissioner at New South Wales State Emergency Services, said people living in evacuation zones must leave immediately. They said it's a serious situation. All communities need to be aware of their risk and plan and prepare accordingly. So the orders came as the Warragamba Dam, which provides much of the drinking water for Sydney, spilled over on Saturday afternoon, causing water levels to rise along the Nepean and the Hawkesbury rivers. So they call it a 1 in 100 year event. Right? They don't think things will worsen on the mid-north coast, right? But definitely the conditions are going to continue, right? This was in a news conference. Another 4,000 people may be asked to leave their homes in the coming days. And the Bureau of Meteorology said that heavy downpour is set to continue for the rest of Sunday in Sydney and throughout the state, with some areas expected to get up to 200 millimeters of rain. Now, emergency services said they had received about 600 calls overnight asking for help. More than 60 of those were pleas for rescue from floods. And television social media footage showed fast-moving water unmooring houses, engulfing roads, knocking down trees, and damaging road infrastructure. And the Prime Minister Morrison lamented the absolutely heartbreaking scenes on Saturday and offered troops to help with the emergency effort. So the extreme weather was affecting Australia's coronavirus vaccine delivery to Sydney and throughout the state, and disrupted the country's plans to deliver the first vaccine doses to almost 6 million people during the next few weeks. Last but not least, we're going to take a look at Tokyo, because this is where they have the Olympics coming this year, the delayed Olympics by 1 year. So overseas fans are banned from the Tokyo Olympics because of the coronavirus fears. The 2020 Olympic Games were postponed last year due to the coronavirus. And overseas fans will be barred from this year's pandemic-postponed Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics because of continuing coronavirus concerns. Organizers announced this on Saturday, and the decision was announced after an online meeting of the IOC the International Olympic Committee, and the Japanese government, the Tokyo government, the International Paralympic Committee, and local organizers, right? So in order to give clarity to all ticket holders living overseas and to enable them to adjust their travel plans at this stage, the parties on the Japanese side have come to the conclusion that they will not be able to enter into Japan at the time of the Olympics and Paralympic Games, right? So the IOC, IPC fully respect and accept the conclusion. Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games were postponed last year because of the coronavirus pandemic, and Japan has attributed about 8,800 deaths to the coronavirus and has controlled the virus better than most countries, right? 8,800 is actually not that high. So about 1 million tickets are reported to have been sold to fans from outside Japan, while 4.45 million tickets were sold to Japanese residents. So they could wait until the very last moment to decide for the spectators, right? But they have to secure accommodations and flights, so they have to decide early. Otherwise, they'll cause a lot of inconvenience, right? So it was a very, very tough issue to decide. So the IOC president called it a very, very difficult decision. So that's just a lot of money they are losing, right? Because that's a lot of the income comes from tourism. So yeah, the AP Sports journalist speaking to Al Jazeera from Tokyo said the polls indicated more than 70% of Japanese people do not want overseas fans to come over, but the economic impact, they said, is very small. Right, this is an economy with $5 or $6 trillion for the GDP and GNP, and the Olympics are small potatoes. It's a couple of weeks; it doesn't have much effect. And he said the organizing committee, however, will be affected. So ticket sales are the third largest income source, almost $800 million, and they're going to lose a big chunk of that in refunds. So the financial burden of lost tickets sales falls on Japan. And overall, Japan is officially spending $15.4 billion to organize the Olympics. Several government audits say the actual cost may be twice that much. Right? All but $6.7 billion is public money. So meanwhile, like British Taekwondo athlete Lutalo Mohammed said despite the absence of foreign fans, he was happy that the games are still going ahead. So a lot of these, you got to think about these athletes that have been training for 4 to 5 years just for this one event. So it is unfortunate, but they've been doing it not for the fans, they're doing it for their countries and whatever. So the ban on fans from abroad comes just days before the Japanese Olympic torch relay starts. It's Eastern Fukushima Prefecture on Thursday. So that is the three top news for this weekend. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. Kind of get to see what God is doing around the world. Really unfortunate what's happening over there in Australia, New South Wales. Okay, so that means we're going to go into a little bit more of a spiritual time. So we're going to have time of praise and worship. So what are we going to praise and worship at this time? Well, number one is we're going to go over we're going to sing a song, the one that we sang on Sunday service, and that's going to be Happy Person. And then Let's Overcome the World. And then, of course, According to the Lord's Will. Right? So everyone as one body of the Morning Star Drive. I hope that all of us here, too, as Sunsteep said this week's message, the will of God is a team sport, and we're doing it all together. So let's do it all together here. Give glory to the Holy Trinity. And let's start off with Happy Person.
Every day, Lord, as we follow you, we're still filled with joy. Lord, the path that you walked, that's the path of the will, rapture, and love. Now God's will has been fulfilled on this path to the golden city of heaven. Though the world, they turned you away, you fulfill God's will in the end. Now the banquet of God will go on for 1,000 years. You who are brides, diligently live with love. Even as seasons bring rain and snow, tribulations come and go. But with hearts that never will change, you must live like the Lord. You will be brides of God's love, reaching the city of gold. Loving the Lord, Spirit and Son, loving our God for eternity, living in love evermore. reaching the city of gold. Loving the Lord, Spirit and Son, loving our God for eternity, living in love evermore. Now the banquet of God will go on for 1,000 years. You who are bright, diligently live with love. Even as seasons bring rain and snow, tribulations come and go. But with hearts that never will change, you must live like the Lord. You will be brides of God's love, reaching the city of gold. Loving the Lord, Spirit and Son, loving our God for eternity, living in love evermore. Living in love
Let's overcome the world, overcome our hardships and send our fears away. Come from our hearts and sent with the wind. On the wind of the Spirit, let your cares fly. You and I both, we must go on. Our hearts have not changed. Like the waves rising and falling, we may waver and be shaken, nevertheless we will remain on the same path until the end. Our destination set, both you and I, your hand in mine, our hearts as one. We go on as one. We must support, help each other, care for each other as we love and adore only God, the Holy Spirit. We will look up to them, longing for heaven. That's our joy, and this love never rests, now and always. Just as time flows, as the waves crash endlessly, let's overcome the world, overcome our hardships and send our fears away. Come from our hearts and sent with the wind. On the wind of the Spirit, let your cares fly. You and I both, we must go on. Our hearts have not changed.
I will do your will, my Lord. It is all I know. I'll live only for your will. When you speak your words to me, I will act upon them perfectly. Oh, give me me strength to act upon your will, my Lord, and let my thoughts be fixed on you alone. Oh, come to me and teach me, though I'm weak in many ways. Lord, come to me and fill me with your wisdom and your strength. I will leave my thoughts behind, and in everything I will live the way you do. Lord, I ask that you speak to me. Please answer as I call on your name. Oh, give me strength to act upon your will, my Lord, and let my thoughts be fixed on you alone. Oh, come to me and teach me, though I'm weak in many ways. Lord, come to me and fill me with your wisdom and your strength. You are right here with me, so I'll call out to you, Lord. For you walk by my side, pouring your power on me. If I act on your word, we will achieve victory. Lord, would you use me, and let's fulfill your will on this earth. Oh, give me strength to act upon your will, my Lord, and let my thoughts be fixed on you alone. Oh, come to me and teach me, though I'm weak in many ways. Lord, come to me and fill me with your wisdom and your strength. Lord, let me live for you and for your will alone. Oh, can't you feel this earnest heart of mine? Until the end, I'll never give up. I'll fulfill your dream. I will run with you together. We'll fulfill this history. I will do your will, my Lord. It is all I know. I live only for your will.
And that was According to the Lord's Will. It brings back a lot of great memories, and I hope you guys really enjoyed singing and praising, give glory to the Holy Trinity. Before that is Let's Overcome the World, and of course that first song from the Sunday message was Happy Person. All right, guys. So it's time to get into some word study for today. What kind of word study do we have, guys? What kind of word study? We have the Sunday message. Great message from Sunsteam. He was fiery, guys. Like I was listening to the translation, and PJ was doing the translation. Hard job to do, but he did a great and awesome job. Sunsteam was just on fire, right? And you could just see, like, in his voice, and you could kind of tell that there's something going on. I don't know if there's something going on, but you could tell that, people are really just taking him to the edge, right? These slanders and everything else. They're saying things about him, and he's just like, you have no, like, people are judging by what they see and stuff. So it was really, really a deep Shimjung-filled message. So We'll go over a couple of really, really good points because it's talking about the 7 gifts. And we'll start off with the first point, which I really liked. And it kind of gives you new perspective when it comes to prayer conditions because today the 70-day prayer condition started. So I hope you guys had a good start to this prayer condition. If you haven't, you can always start tomorrow, right? So on this prayer condition, this continuous, right? He's like, a lot of people, now that it's the 40 days is over, it's like we go straight to the 70 days the day after. And then people are like, oh gosh, like right away, like come on, right? And some people can think that because it's like, oh, it's tiring, but it's all about our thinking. And if just the example he gave was just clutch. I love the example it's like eating, guys. After you finish eating, you got to eat again later, but no one's like going, oh, I got to eat again, right? No one does that. And it's something we realize in this world, we're living in a very consumable world that once we're done, we start again, right? We eat, we poop, and then we go again, and we eat again, and then we eat again. And it's just like the thoughts is like, yeah, whether it's eating, whether it's sleeping, we got to sleep again, right? Eventually, we got to work again. We got to go to church again, right? And it's something that doesn't really stop. And I hope it's something that we really, really put our minds to, right? That it's something that we really can think about clearly and know that it's just really about our thoughts and how we're going to do it, okay? So let's take a look at the 7 gifts, right? The 7 gifts, I believe, was like wisdom, knowledge, faith, healing, miraculous powers, prophecy, and then it was like distinguishing spirits and stuff. And then, of course, there was like tongues, interpreting tongues, which was like 8 and 9, but he really focused on those 7. But the one thing I really was inspiring was he's like, you can have all of them. I was like, whoa. Like, honestly, when I listen to these gifts, the gifts are crazy. Honestly, it feels like an Avengers movie. It's like, yeah, you'll have the power to heal people. Like, whoa, right? Oh, your eye is missing, and you put your hand over the eye, and a new eye comes up. But obviously not like that. But, like that is a superpower. The miraculous powers and healing, like healing is crazy. Miraculous power, like prophesying is seeing the future. That is nuts. Right? It's like, oh, I feel that on your way home, you're going to run over a squirrel and you're going to kill it. So don't, slow down when you're driving home. It's like, oh no, I'm going to kill the squirrel. Like, like obviously it's not like going to be that cheesy, right? But prophesying is pretty crazy if you can see the future, right? Seeing the future, healing, miraculous powers. But the ones that, like the top 3 ones are like the most important ones is like wisdom, knowledge, and faith. And these are the 3 things that are like the ones that affect us every single day. Like when I think about this, wisdom, knowledge, and faith, like those 3 things will change you on a daily basis. Healing will not change you on a daily basis. You could still be a jerk and heal people, right? You could. You could still be someone like someone who heals for money. Like, oh, you just wait by a dying rich man's bed and you just ask for like $10 million and you heal them after you get $10 million, right? So it's kind of crazy if you think about that. That it's true. People can do all these weird things with these powers, but wisdom and knowledge and faith are not like powers that will know like Avenger powers, right? It's like, I can fly, I can do this, I can heal people, right? Because healing is a crazy, crazy one. Seeing the future is crazy too, I think. These miraculous powers, I'm sure there's tons of different things what these miraculous powers are. It didn't go very specific into it, but those all feel like Avengers assemble powers, like, in every church, they'll have an Avengers team, one who heals, one who can part the Red Sea or whatever it is, one who has powers to see the future, right? And then you'll have this trinity of this like Avengers group, which could be like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. And then you have the other group, which is like wisdom, knowledge, and faith, which you can't really see, right? It's an everyday thing. It's like Hawkeye, Scarlet, the Scarlet Widow, the Black Widow, because both of them have no absolute powers whatsoever, right? And then, faith would be like what? Who would that be? Who else has like not really has much power? It would be Scarlet, the Black Widow. It would be Hawkeye. One more person we put in there. Like, obviously Bruce Banner, but he turns into the Hulk, which, doesn't really help. But is there someone else? There's got to be someone who has no power whatsoever. There is, right? Maybe one of the people from Wakanda. If they don't have their vibranium, what's that girl's name? The woman with the bald head, one of the security guards. Either way, some of these people have no powers whatsoever. But wisdom, knowledge, and faith is just like that. They're normal things that are used every single day, right? And these are the things that help us to become successful in life, make the right decisions, allows us to see things for what they really are. It gives them, faith is something that, like faith in God, faith in the one that God has sent. Like, these are things that are kind of natural and normal. But I really, really, I think he just hit it on the money, is there's nothing greater than discernment, right? There's nothing greater than discernment. There is nothing greater than getting this wisdom to discern and judge and have the right decision. Because if you can discern well, sometimes you could be you could be successful in everything, right? And that one verse that he cited in Isaiah chapter 11 verse 9, it was key, right? So after, when the Lord comes, right, talks about the animal kingdom, at the very end is the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord, right? So when the Messiah comes, the earth is filled, and these 7 gifts, everyone can get it. And that is something that's hopeful, and it's not something that is like only the chosen can get this gift. He's like, no, everyone can get all 7 gifts. I'm just like, dang, we could be like straight up daily life, wisdom, knowledge, and faith people that do things normal and then make the right decision. And then on the flip side, we're also going to be Avengers. Like, that's like being Thor, because probably one of the favorite for me is like Iron Man. Well, Thor. Thor is like super powerful. And then you have like, I have the third one for the 3 normal people. It would be Black Widow, Hawkeye, and it would also be the Star-Lord, right? He's just a human being too, right? Oh, I should know he's part God. It doesn't matter either way, right? So those are the ones that are like, yeah, this is great that you can have all 7. I think something that we can strive for. Like, I've always wanted the power of healing, right? And I always thought to myself, God doesn't want me to have it because I'd probably misuse it and make people pay money for it or something like that, right? You don't need a vaccine, I will heal you, right? So that's something I really understood, and that really stood out to me, and I really liked that. The second point I really liked was about religious history being a team sport, because I've been a team sport player all my life. I never really liked the individual sports. Never really liked the tennis. Never really liked the table tennis. I never really liked like pool or badminton, like just these one-on-one ones. It's basically all you. There's no dynamic in there where you're relying on someone else. I've been all team sports all my life. Basketball, volleyball, rugby, American football. The only individual sport I ever actually tried for was wrestling. I did wrestling for a year. And, that's just you and only you, which is good, but because you can only blame yourself. But that teamwork is such a different thing. It really, really is. So I hope it's something that we can understand is, a team sport is we need to work hard individually, but we also have the reliance on others, and we have to take care of each other too. And, we have to, with this team sport, you can have the greatest team, but a crappy goalie, and you will lose every game because your goalie sucks, right? And we need to fight and win together. Everyone has a use. And even the way Sunseem talks about the national team for soccer, he talks about even the fans being part of it, right? The fans are part of the team. Some people are spectators, right? That, they can't actually get on the field. Not a spectator meaning they are a spectator that only watches and doesn't participate, right? But I'm talking about someone who is more, when Sunseem talks about a spectator, it means like they can't really go on the field. They're not like the special forces ready to play right away, right? And you have those that are supporting through their prayers, supporting through watching and cheering. Some people are the substitutes. Some people are the coaches. Some people are the water boys. Some people are like cleaning the stage. Like there's so many different positions that are there that all of them are needed. Or imagine you have a dirty field, right? Or the grass isn't taken care of. These all make a huge difference. It is a team sport and everyone has a use. And guess what? Not everyone wants to be on the field, right? It's true. Some people rather work in finance and making sure everyone gets paid. Some people want to work on like acquisitions and scouting players. Just so many things that go on for these sports teams to go well. And it's a perfect analogy. It really is, right? And now that, and the way that you can put it is, all of us are like, Sunseem said the perfect parable was the parable of the body. We are all bodies of the Lord. Like we're all of the same body, right? And that makes sense. And we all have different gifts, and these gifts of God are all tools. Like if he wants to fulfill and do something, the issue is he's got to give you the tools so you can fulfill the will, right? Make the history happen. And he said the 2 reasons why we get gifts is, number 1 is to help each other, and number 2 is to fulfill the history, right? So those are the 2 things that really matter. And I hope it's something that we can look at and say, oh, that makes sense, right? And but if anything else, in the end, he said the greatest gift we have is the Word. There's nothing greater than the Word. Jesus, when he started, he had nothing but the Word, nothing else. Sunseem looked pitiful in the past, and all he had was the Word. People looked at him and said nothing. It's like you can tell he had this hurt shimja, how the way that people talk about him. He's like, I had nothing, but I had the Word, right? I had nothing, but I had the Word, right? And he's like, it was really when he talks about how people treated him in the past and they thought nothing of him. And he says, you guys, you look at me and you all see me in this, but I was never like this before. Right? But everyone judged me by how I looked, and you can't do that. And don't look down on other people too. And that's something that Sunstein is very sensitive to, is when we look down on young people or look down on those that we don't need to look down on, right? There's no need to look down on others, right? So it was very, like, he was very fiery about that. It was really like, wow, right? One thing that I was really, really inspired by, it was such a small part of the lesson. He says, people are weak if they get things quickly or if they get it for free. Like, you didn't set a condition for it or anything else. And that is so true, especially when it comes to the new generation, right? Everyone gets award. Everyone gets this. Everyone gets, can fulfill everything they need to. Everyone is treated equally, right? Like, well, not treated equally, but everyone should be equal, and they'll force equality, which is kind of different than giving the opportunity for equality, right? And we'll talk about it a little bit later. But people should learn step by step. They should learn clearly, learn in reality, practically, right? And they should learn how to value things by doing something, understanding it, and learning it properly. And Sunstein took like 20 years, 30 years before he actually learned things properly, right? And that was the best way to do it. Nowadays, we just give things for free. Nowadays, we just do it and that's it. And we have to realize that we need to learn things properly, not rush. Like when he talks about teaching people too, don't rush teaching people. Teach them slowly, make them strong, right? Concepts are too easy in your head, but you have to make them strong more than anything else. And I was like, yeah, that's so true. And we have to really realize this and not just try to pass people, right? We need to teach them clearly, strongly, and deeply more than anything else. And he's like, Sunstein like, remember what the Holy Spirit told Sunstein was like, hey, take your time. Don't worry. Think of the long one, the next 30 years. Sunstein said, we don't have enough time. It's 30 years. You know how long that is? That's like when I'm 100 years old, 110 years old. But he's like, no, think of the long term. Don't rush it. You have to do it strong, right? And I was like, wow, that's so true. We can't rush things. And I think that's something I talked about someone else the other day. This another topic is, like, head leaders are like 3 years. And it's like, if you only have 3 years, you're not thinking about making relationships. You're more thinking about getting something done. And it's like the end result that matters more to you. So it's something that I was really thinking of, like, oh, that's so true. And I hope that everyone, we can go out and really come up with solid faith. And I was really moved by how he's talking about parenting. It's like, you know what, guys? The parents need to have solid faith. And when you have solid faith, you will have the power to pull the children. And if the power is weak, then the children will pull away, right? So lead them with the power of faith, and then they won't be shaken, right? And that is true, right? For all of us. Like, if you even think about it in the spiritual sense, if the spiritual leaders, if the department leaders, if the assistant leaders, if the head leaders, if the headquarters, if the IMD, if all these people, their power of their faith is weak, then the children pull away from them in a spiritual sense too. So that was something that was really inspiring. He's talking about like families, and that's a big topic that a lot of the leaders have been talking about over here too. So I was really, really happy about that. Yeah, so man, discernment, there's so many things that came out about that. Especially the one that was really shocking to me was, I've heard this before already, but the story of the Ambition Masterpiece, great story. And how he had a headache, and then he had to discern the headache. Isn't that crazy, guys? Discerning a headache? That was mind-blowing to me. Like, oh, God, what does that mean? Do you not want me to? And he prays about it. I don't know how many people are going to pray and try to discern a headache, right? We have to be the ones to discernment, since he said, to question and analyze. Question and analyze. And he talked about, there's so many, you could see the frustration in his heart. Like, these people have no idea what they're talking about. And God said these people are like just ignorant, right? And I was just like, wow. So I hope that us too, we will discern. We will question. We will analyze. We will discern. We will do things the right way, right? And discern each situation. Don't just rush the decision, but do things until the end. Okay, so great message, guys. I hope that you guys were fulfilled from it too. And let's talk again, right? Let's talk again for tomorrow's podcast. But great, guys, great message for the word study. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, which means it's going to lead us into a time of the song of the day. And today's song of the day, I'm going to go into a Korean song. And this is one of the songs that I heard way back in like 2000 and I was in Korea at that time, maybe 2002. Yeah, 2002 at the World Cup. And This is kind of the time when a lot of American Koreans were going over to Korea as singers. So there was a song that's got a great music video, really sad, makes you want to cry. But the song is called "My Tears Keep Coming Out." Right? I'm still in tears, like my tears keep coming, and it's called 눈물이나. Right? So 눈물 is like your tears, ina. It's like it keeps coming, right? So I don't know what the right word to say. How do you translate it? 눈물이나. It means like my tears keep flowing, I guess. Yeah. And this is from a Korean singer named Sonya. And then the singer is one of the American singers that was moving. This is when the trend was coming over for American singers to come over. And this is his name is Travis, and he was a good friend of my cousin, so it was quite interesting. But this song, great song, way back in the 2002 during the not the Olympics, during the World Cup. So I hope you guys enjoy this. This is 눈물이나 from Sonya and Travis.
날 혼자 둔 채로 돌아설 수 없죠. 그댈 그리다 긴 하루 써버린 내가 걱정돼서 못하겠죠.
날들이 자꾸 생각나서 모습 밟혀서 먼 길을 가다 후회되겠죠. 내게 미안하겠죠. 또 다른 사랑 찾아가라는 말은 말아요. 그댈 생각하면 나도 몰래 눈물이 나. 돌아올 수 없어도 기억해줘요. 누군가를 사랑하게 된대도 그댈 보내주느니 보다 가슴 아픈 걸 잡을 수가 없느니.
언젠가 그대가 새로운 다른 사람 만나
나를 닮은 이별에 눈물을 흘리면 그때 알까요? 내 슬픔을 볼까요? 또 다른 사람 찾아가라는 말은 말아요. 그댈 생각하면 나도 몰래 눈물이 나. 돌아올 수 없어도 기억해줘요. 누군가를 사랑하게 된대도 또 다른 사랑 찾아가라는 말은 말아요. 왜 그댄 내맘 볼 수조차 없는 건지. 돌아올 수 없어도 언제까지나 나 그댈 위해 살아갈게요.
그댈 보내주느니
보다 가슴 아픈 걸 잡을 수가 없느니. 잊은 듯이 사느니
Old school Korean music. It sounds like straight up from like a Korean drama, right? And I think it was used in a drama too. Of course it would be, right? I hope you guys really enjoyed that. That was 눈물이나 from Sonia and Travis. Great song, great music video. Some of you are probably gonna cry from that music video. I'll put the description in the link so you can watch it. But yeah, very. It was really it just reminds me of the time I was in Korea during the World Cup. When I was in province at that time, but I was staying with my cousin. Good memories. All right. So that moves us into the last segment for today. And the last segment for today is going into, well, it's kind of the thoughts that I'm having over the things that I'm going through over the weekend, everything else like this. And it was really interesting because I you know, some of you guys know I'm doing lecture training with different countries around the world. So right now I'm doing America. And I have like 3 teams I'm doing lecture training with. And the cool thing is like we just went through our first feedback. You know, we get feedback from them. And it's just so super thankful and grateful that people give feedback. And I think it's really important that we do that we really get what people are really thinking in their hearts. Because no one knows, right? And sometimes we make mistakes and sometimes we don't know we make mistakes. It's true, right? Sometimes we just don't know. We have no idea. Like, you know, when Sunsi talks about when you're on the Zoom call with him, and then he's like, oh, people aren't smiling. And the answer is, sometimes you just don't see your face, right? And you're sitting there so in awe, just being right in front of Sunsteam, but you're not thinking about like, oh, why aren't you smiling? Why aren't you like, oh, maybe Sunsteam's like, oh, you guys don't have very good reaction, this and this. But sometimes it's not you have a bad reaction, it's just that, oh my gosh, I'm just so like, you're stunned, like you can't say anything, right? And we just don't know. And it's good that we get feedback. And it's something that we should always be getting all the time. But one thing that I really believe is we should be getting feedback not at random times, right? And I'm gonna give you an honest reason why I don't think it should be at random times. And I think this is why it's done really well, because with the team that I work with for lecture training, this group we have the times we do the feedbacks, which everyone knows it's coming, right? And let me tell you why it's better to do it that way, and why it's so much better for us to even think about how to become more structured and have a better system. Let me give you an example. Imagine every time you get a feedback is like out of nowhere, out of the blue, right? And this is what usually happens right now is a lot of churches and a lot of countries will just do feedback like, let's just do it right now, right? Oh, we're just gonna do it. Well, we need to do it right now because they told us to do it, right? And what happens is whoever's getting the feedback is freaking out. Why? Because you're thinking in your head, oh, what happened? Oh, did someone say something? Did someone complain? Did someone say this? Did someone say that? And if that's the case, then what happens? Then if it's always randomized, right? And then I'm talking about also how you do the feedback makes a huge difference. Because if feedbacks are done, right, and it's like so random out of nowhere, it's so uncertain that the person that's getting their feedback done is freaking out like, oh man, someone must have said something, right? So the complaints are coming in. So, oh no, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my mission, whatever it is. And the reason why it's not good, because it's too stressful, right? If you think about it, it's way too stressful if you think about that. And it's because if you think about what brings people a lot of stress and anxiety is uncertainty, right? Let's just pretend that you never know when you're going to get cut. You never know when, you're not going to be doing well. And what happens is if you can get cut at any single moment, what happens? Then if you get cut any single time, the hard part is you don't know, you're uncertain about your future. You might not have a job tomorrow or the next month, or like when's it going to end? And this causes tons of stress. And you'll see that even especially during the coronavirus time, it's even bigger, right? Because people have so much uncertainty. There's so much more depression, anxiety, stress, suicide, all these things coming in. So what we need to realize is what? We need to realize is we need to make things structured so that there's more certainty and peace of mind. So let's talk about the biggest difference. If someone is told every 6 months you're going to get a feedback review, which means you know exactly when it happens, you'll never be surprised by it. You'll know exactly what the questions are. right? And once you know what the questions are, super easy, right? Because you know what's going to happen every 6 months, every 4 months, whatever it is, right? And they're going to sit down with you after and talk about it, what you can improve, right? And when you have certainty, oh, it's going to happen. Oh yeah, I remember about this. You're not going to have as much fear and anxiety. Of course, there's always going to be like, oh no, what they're going to say. However, you're not going to be shocked by what? You know what? I've had one time where they told me they're going to do the feedback tomorrow. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Honestly, for me, that was like, oh, that's so dumb. Really? You gave me 1 day's notice, right? And for me, it's just like, that's totally unprofessional, right? And of course, sometimes those things do have to happen. Something all of a sudden says, everyone, you have to get this done. But there should be a regular thing that gives certainty to people, right? And when you have a system like that down, then what happens is it becomes very, a lot easier on people's hearts. And allows people to like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Why? Because I was expecting it. I knew it was going to happen. Right. And I'm really hopeful and thankful that a lot of people will make these changes, and a lot of people will be able to really help people understand like how important these feedbacks are, but make it certain. Right. And I think if there's anything else, whatever happens, one of the worst feedbacks you can have, like when you give someone feedback, is when all you talk about is the bad points. Right. And like, for instance, feedback is about the bad points of what you can fix, obviously, right? But that's why always the first question should be, what is the overall feeling? So if the overall feeling is like 80, 90%, like really, really good, then the feedback is more about, oh, it's so good, we like it, but we hope you can fix these things. And that's different, right? Because you already know overall they like it. But if you have no idea how much they like it, but all you keep hearing is the things you need to fix, like 10 things, then you're just going to think, I'm terrible. Right? You need to hear the overall first, like, yeah, overall, they love the program. And secondly, these are some things they like to fix. And that's a much better way to look at better perspective of it, because you're like, oh, I'm getting a 75%, which is great. And I just need to fix a couple of things, and that makes it even better. Right? And that would change the way that you look at it. But if you only look at that, there's no overall feeling, then you just think you're a terrible, terrible person, right? So we do need to do these things wisely and study on how to do these feedbacks too. But really, really happy this weekend having, this feedback. Is always good to have feedback, and we have to be positive with these things too. All right. So that is my thoughts for today. Hope you guys really enjoyed it, which means this is the last segment of today's podcast. Hope you guys are going to have an amazing Monday. Some of you will see it tonight for the Monday Zoom Bible study. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone,